Eden Koz here with Just Be, and we are about to take a spiritual boom. We are at an unprecedented time in human history where we are transitioning from 3D to 5D within the great spiritual awakening. This video and audio podcast is the place for you to find your truth beyond politics, your sovereignty, your voice. Let's kick up your vibration now. By the way, each episode ends with the Just Be practice to do just that. And as we begin the show, just to know a little bit more about me, I'm a soul realignment specialist, meditation master, and dimensional healer. Learn more, and there's merch also at EdenJustBe.com. Let's get this party started. Here we go. So good to see you again. Smile it up, man, on this, as you said, auspicious day.
It is an auspicious day.
It's
the American election, and you're talking to a Canadian here.
Yes.
I have questions for you. You want to talk to me about things, but I have questions for you. But no.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
Please.
All right.
I'm also a podcaster, and I'm not going to take over, please.
Okay. Well, all right. Any other smiles? Do you think we're good?
Smile for the screen share shot or whatever.
Smile for the camera. Yes.
Okay, one more.
Yes. Ready? Heck yeah.
I'm not a teeth smiler.
David, I'm probably going to include this because it's funny. All right, then I get really excited because today I am very excited. Okay, we start. Eden, Just Be, Spiritual Boom, in association with the Grassroots Warrior Network. Welcome, David, with the Freedom Conversation podcast out of Nova Scotia. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for inviting me to your wonderful podcast. And you were on my podcast very recently also. So wonderful to see you a second time.
Thank you. Yeah, this is so neat because I was on Grimerica, and then you reached out to me from that. And then I said, hey, can you be on my show as well? So here we are. And before we get into some things, I want to talk to you about Nova Scotia for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I
am.
Yep. I'm a pretty well-traveled American. Yet I was amazed that I didn't really know Nova Scotia's an island to the east peninsula. Okay, thank you. Please clarify any of this. On the east side of Canada, like right above Maine for the States. And the pictures I saw there are just beautiful. Okay, tell me about living there for a second.
I was born in Halifax, Nova Scotia. My parents are Newfoundlanders, and it is beautiful here. It's a beautiful place. On the license plates, you know how every state probably has a motto on the license plate.
Yeah.
Well, ours here in Nova Scotia is Canada's ocean playground. We have sandy beaches all the way around the friggin' province. So that's great. It's beautiful, not overly populated. There's 100 miles of crown land where I live in all directions almost. It's Canada. It's what you think about Canada. Lots of trees.
Yeah.
There's places to get away from it all. What else can I say about Nova Scotia? I think that people probably get already a gist of, Canada, and the Maritimes provinces are a little different than the rest of Canada. It's a cluster of small provinces, and we're all very quiet and like hobbits almost out here in some sense, I like to say. But I mean, things are changing though, Eden. Things are changing. Everybody's changing everywhere now. Even where I live in this cute place I've just described, things are darkening, if you know what I mean. And we're going to be talking about the Great Awakening later. But anyway, let's continue with your.
Yes, we are.
Nova Scotia.
Okay. Yeah, y'all check it out. It is so I want to ask you, do a lot of tourists go there?
This is a tourist mecca.
It is a tourist mecca. Okay,
yeah, lots of American license plate. It's fun actually here in the summer because it's like, oh look, it's Texas or Maine. Lots of New York City. I'm like, wow, New York City, wow. But in the winter, it's just Nova Scotia.
It's just Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm surprised I don't know about that. Okay, but here I do. Okay. So we are recording Election Day here in the States, and David knows the show will not be live in 2 weeks. So not to get too topical, yet it's going to be so interesting in terms of what's going to happen. I'm just sitting here so excited. Okay, and I want to bring this up because this is so interesting. So my dear friend and clients, we were having dinner last night, and she showcased Kim Kardashian's Instagram page. And I'm bringing this up to you guys because it's amazing. So for Halloween, she apparently wore this lizard costume.
Oh, geez.
So very, very accurate. Okay, here are some of the comments, and it's one after the other, which is amazing. And after I looked at hers, I'm like, okay, let's just go to Taylor Swift's page and see what's going on. So she has lots of posts, but the comments are not allowed. So there's a part of me like, why? This is so in your face and so out there. Why is this? Okay, so anyway, one after the one person said, finally, an actual representation of what you look like. Never, and then, okay, I'm just going to go through these. Never beating the reptilian allegations. Cool costume, finally showing us precisely what you are, reptilian. Reptilian, putting it in our faces. Can we know you sold your soul? Keeps on going. They just can't help to tell on themselves. This is her actual form. Okay, there's some nice ones. Okay, this just confirms all the reptilian accusations. Weird. Then there's one, the best. This is her actual form. Okay, I'm going to read. One, girl, this is scary. Okay, this is your satanic house, flat out scary. Who the F you are. I thought this was a reptilian costume. A lot of satanic things too, but it is just, I mean, there are thousands. So I was shocked by that. So I don't know if we're supposed to see it, if this, I don't know. And knowing from P.N. Cullen, my only regular guest, that there's going to be a huge shift astrologically that's going to be just this a piece that comes in March. And then Joshua, who was on the show last week, the 2037, he believes that's when we start to reach paradise on earth. So y'all, we are heading towards good stuff. Okay, David, may I read your bio now?
Please, yes.
Okay. And I'm going to read it from your perspective. My wife and I were just living our lives, building a homestead in Nova Scotia, and then boom, COVID came to Canada. My wife, who's an RN nurse, was on leave for refusing the jab. 2 years of vax mandates in his province for healthcare workers led him to begin podcasting. The tyranny seemed unusually cruel here. The world was relaxing these measures, but not in my home. Frustration, I will speak out, led me to podcasting. I feel the world is reaching a massive inflection point, which indeed it is. Mind control, propaganda, vax damage everywhere. Canadian tyranny was extraordinary and still is in many ways. Being Buddhist for 25 years, and we'll talk about this, he has done many retreats and studied meditation, and that has offered also a unique insight or perspective on current events. A Buddhist lens is quite different than usual Western spiritual lens. Okay, his podcast seeks to find a common thread in humanity that transcends religion, where we all can agree on some profound truth and reclaim our societies from the dark enslavement empire. He focuses mainly on transhumanism, as he sees that as the most dangerous threat coming our way.
Yeah, that about sums it up. I wrote that little thing for you.
Yes.
And I think that that's just me, little ordinary guy, until all this started. And then I started a podcast. And then you know what happens in podcasting, Eden? You start learning things. You start talking to different people, taking different perspectives, and you start building on your own perspective. And now I'm like, oh my God, transhumanism is coming for us all. But anyway.
So tell me specifically, how long have you been podcasting now? Since
2023. So
23.
I'm approaching 1 year in December. Okay.
1 year.
Around Christmas time, actually. It was just around Christmas. I think maybe I started the podcast because, Christmas was coming and it was the second year of these mandates, and the whole world, all the nurses were back to work. And my poor wife, not allowed to work in Nova Scotia without a vaccine mandate. It was like a world record. So maybe something about the Christmas, I was like, that's it. I'm supposed to feel good. I do not feel good. Mm-hmm. So in some sense, I wanted to speak out because I couldn't live with myself.
Yeah.
To stay silent. Normal impulse, I think. And podcasting, here we are, 2024. Look, I'm spreading my message here too of resistance against the dark enslaving empire.
Man, and I'm up 3 years of doing this in January, which a part of me is like, same thing. I had joined other groups and they had all fallen apart. And I was like, okay, what can I do myself that no one has control over me, that I can just start doing this? And it's been Like I state this every week I go, do I keep doing this? And I hear yes, because I get to meet people like you, people all over the world. And you do not feel alone when you start really seeing that there are so many people who see things. And then it's just, I see more and more just out in the world. It's just so wow. All right. So when did you start seeing that things were not nice? Correct. Was it
Mm,
specifically with your wife and healthcare when the jabs came to Canada? Or did you notice something before that?
I think I was born with some sort of awareness,
Okay, let's
and
talk about that.
probably when I was 18 years old, I
Okay.
can almost pinpoint the moment walking down the street through the city of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
Okay.
The capital city is Halifax, but Dartmouth is just across the harbor. So I was walking down the street. I remember the exact moment actually. And this word spirituality came to my mind because I have a friend who I think was talking about something, maybe Reiki or something. This is a long
Yeah.
time ago. I'm 46 now, and I was 18 then. Your listeners can do the math. I'm not. But spirituality. And I was thinking, well, maybe that means I'm here for a purpose. That was my very first spiritual thought in my life. I thought, maybe I'm here for a purpose. What is spirituality? What is this word? What does it mean?
So you were just walking and that word came into your mind, like just a little flash.
Yeah, yeah, but I think I might have been having conversations with people, right, about spiritual things. You know, you're
Yeah.
18, you're beginning to develop your throat chakras, your third eye's blossoming at around that age, they say. So, yeah, I mean, did I answer the question?
Yeah. So had you been
Right,
did
realizing
you
that something was off. Yeah,
okay.
realizing something. Yeah, that was your question, right?
So
Right.
were you brought up in a certain religion or how were you
Nah,
brought up?
very atheist. Home, not like outright atheist, just
Yeah.
religion's stupid and that's just going with their life. It was a bit of a broken home, I will say that. It wasn't a beautiful family life. I mean, we were lower class, country, Canadian family. You know, nothing too nasty, but I mean, I had a rough childhood.
Okay.
Not too bad though. Yeah,
Did you have siblings?
I have a sister. Yeah,
A
yeah,
sister.
yeah.
Okay, so you were walking on the street, spiritual, because there are so many spiritual people, yet they don't realize the what is going on right now is everywhere in politics and education, where it's somehow separated. So you got the spiritual itch, let's call it.
Yes.
Did that quickly talk about how that
Yeah, it
manifested?
evolved quickly, Eden. It evolved very quickly from there, actually.
Yeah,
My roommate was reading a book on Taoism one day,
yeah,
and he was listening to a CD of like peaceful music. And we were sort of punk rockers, right? When I was young, I was like, F the system, Mohawk, that whole thing, right? That was my thing. I come out of the
hey,
punk rock kind of element, and he was meditating, sitting there with his legs crossed, kind of looking at a book about meditation, listening to a meditation CD. But anyway, so this obviously something clicked in me, and I was like, I'm going to try that. And I sat down on the couch on the other side of the room. He said, I'm meditating. I said, how do you do it? He said, I'm not sure. So I learned how to meditate myself. I began to engage in that every day, 1 hour every night, ish. I would light candles and sometimes experiment with music. I was not involved with anyone else, no religion, no nothing. Just
yeah.
me alone in my bedroom, dabbling in meditation. And I began reading things, different Buddhism a lot and Taoism, because meditation is a major focus of Buddhism, right? So I guess that's why I was drawn down that philosophical road. And as I started to study the philosophy of Buddhism, I was like, okay, now this is interesting. Long story short, I went to university as a mature student at age 23. So 5 years from the spirituality, what is it, moment, 5 years later, I'm in university studying world religions with a focus in Buddhism. So I have an academic
Wow.
background in the study of world religion and with a focus on Buddhism. So you can see now how this is building my life story of being a Buddhist, because I know a lot about it. I really do. I'm a scholar in Buddhism.
Right.
I'm not ashamed to say that. I actually am, but no one
Well,
cares to hear it. I don't tell anybody the things I know about Buddhism because I live in the Western world. No one wants to hear it.
I want to hear it. So, what does it mean? Because the meditation, when I started in my late 20s, it has a Taoistic bent. So, for those who may not know, Taoism is not a religion; it's a philosophy, essentially, that energy is in everything. So it was beautiful that was the undercurrent of it. Yet it wasn't, hey, everybody, we're going to learn a Taoist form of, like, it wasn't. Um, that wasn't the draw of it. It's just that's what this stems from, and yet we're going to create our own from it as well. So it was really neat. All right, tell me what Buddhism means to you.
See that now this is tricky now, because
Yeah.
in the Western world we like quick fixes. We like to push buttons to relieve our problems now. We like to have something we can pin on our fridge that we can look at every day and think it's going to help our life. Buddhism's not offering quick solutions. Now this is the
Yeah.
issue. Well, but you have to say something, don't you? So I guess I have to say something. The Buddha went to meditate alone in the forest for a long time to try to figure out what's going on. He saw dead
Mhm.
people, people being born, people dying. And you know the story of the Buddha, of course. He lived behind walls. We don't need to go through the Buddha's life story, but his message to the world became the following: that suffering does exist.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, I'm with you so far. In university, I was like, okay, right, okay, that's true. So far, true, And I was like, this is a religion I'm studying here, and something is true, that suffering exists, and they're admitting it. I was like,
Hmm.
okay, well, I sure suffer. But the next thing he said, there is a solution. Oh, actually, no, sorry, there's a cause. Suffering has a cause. So you can see now that Buddhism is a little bit of a logic sandwich. You start with the bread, you get a little mayonnaise. Suffering is the bread. The bottom slice, life is suffering.
Yeah.
But there's a cause of suffering. You're building your sandwich. And the study of Buddhism can go on your whole life. Endless. There's so many teachings, practices. Different parts of the world have adopted it. Like, look at Tibet, how crazy it all is there. And then Japan, it's a completely different motif. So again, Buddhism, what does it say to me? Profound truths are coming through with Buddhism to me. Many of them, really, many of them.
Beautiful explanation. All right. So when you started doing this and studying, how did you then start to see something is off in the world?
Mm-hmm. I feel like I've known that all the whole time.
Okay.
Something's wrong, something's off.
Okay.
This is what leads people to spirituality, isn't it? People who are fundamentally maybe
Not always.
have a little bit of a broken feeling. Something's off. I don't feel right. I
Okay.
feel a little bit. And as I said, my family upbringing wasn't great. So I do think that often people wash up on the shores of temples, like the flotsam and jetsam of the sea. They wash up because they don't know what to do, and they come into spirituality and it helps them. But also, some people, as you say, are just born and they do it. They don't need to come from a broken home to become spiritual.
Hmm.
But I find that many times you have to go through hard times before you finally say, you know what, I'm going to think deeper now. Right. But I think I'm fortunate that I was thinking deep from the beginning, early in
Yes.
life,
Yeah, that
luckily.
is very good.
I don't want to discover spirituality at 65 after going through a hard, shitty life. Right. I'm glad I at least had something, a little bit of armor, a little bit of shield from a lot of life's problems. And this is through meditation, right? Meditation practice all my life. It's
All
very
right. So
helpful.
let me keep asking this. So seeing that something was off, what did you start noticing? Like, something in the world is just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. Get more specific about that, would you?
People,
Okay.
working with people, talking to people, people's behaviors, my own family members and friends, as I was getting older and
Ah.
meditating and thinking deeper about things, I thought so many people are just lost. And I feel kind of grounded. People are ungrounded. So there's something powerful about being grounded, I think. But something is off. Something is off. It's hard to put your finger on it. You just feel it. I feel it right now. That birth and death shows that we're not in heaven. We suffer. We really do. We go through life and change is always happening. And this is another Buddhist thing, that change is constant.
Hmm.
Nothing is stationary. And that's like, okay, so now we're in an ocean. Things are getting unstable now, in some sense, logically. And this is modern physics now, meets Buddhism very, very closely now.
Nice.
actually. Modern neuroscience also. Anyway, I'm rambling a little. It's hard. Like I said, Buddhism is very hard to pigeonhole or lay out in a few sentences. But we're doing good. We're doing a few strokes, kind of looking at it a little. But things were off. You're asking me how it's hard to, well, there's wars, look at the Middle East and 9/11 and the fallout of all that. Like was my 20, I was in university when that happened, probably 22, 23. So a young man, 9/11 happens. Of course, world wars are breaking out. It's like, okay, the Buddha might have been onto something here. I mean, I don't know. To these things really hurt me when I see
Yeah.
wars and stuff. And I'm like, God damn, this is painful to see this happen in this world, because I feel there's no need of it. So maybe I've answered the question, kind of. I don't know.
Kind of. All right. So
things are off. Things are off, Eden. Definitely. Yeah.
yes. All right. So for me, okay. So the COVID was the big event that
Of
suddenly
course.
made me go.
That sent
and
me
then
into outer. Yes, that's a massive. Yeah.
that was the massive awakening. So
Yeah,
then
sure.
learning that so many of these wars, they're all about greed, and that like America, had so much to do with all these wars too. And it's just, again, and it's just for money. That's the main reason. So that was shocking as well, that that it was, especially my country, having hand in so many,
Canada
so many.
changed. Yeah, Canada changed so much too, because we also became no longer a peacemaking country. We went to Afghanistan and bombed the shit out of that country too. And that was a shift in Canadian foreign policy that really bothered me.
Mm.
It really bothered me.
So why don't we lead to, so you had just moved, I think, to Nova Scotia right before COVID came, and you had talked about, before we get on the air, about you, and instead of being just homesteading, it was suddenly, oh, we're prepping. All right, tell
Yes.
me about that amazing time that you had just moved there. Yeah, talk about that a little.
Yeah, I did say I was born and raised here, and that's true. But I went to British Columbia for 5 years, and then we moved back here in 2019, bought the
Okay.
house, and then COVID hits. So we were in British Columbia, and I was very unhappy, living in a city. Oh my goodness. And my wife said, what can we do to make you happy? What would make you happy in life? I said, I want to grow my own food. I want to raise chickens, and I want to live the life of a homesteader. And so we said, well, we got to go to Nova Scotia for that, because BC, it's not great for that. It's very mountainous. Anyway, of course, so we move in December 2019, 2020. Click, we're just move in.
Wow.
And we're like, okay, we'll remove these trees and we'll put a little garden here, and we're starting to plan it all out. COVID hits, February, whatever, a few months later. Yeah. Spring comes, our very first spring in the new house, soon to be homestead. And yeah, of course, you were there too, weren't you, in 2020? We all were. And it's like, okay, spiritual explosion. What's going on here now?
Okay.
This is the new world order coming for everybody. This was my thought. I was afraid. We were scared in this house. We were frightened. But thank goodness we are both spiritual people. We could reflect on our spiritual teachings, very helpful, and just stay calm and think, well, now we're preppers, I guess, because you don't know, no one knew what was going to happen, right? No one knew.
Okay. So what was it like there?
Oh, hard lockdowns. I was not allowed to travel between counties even. Yeah, right. So, yeah. So I could drive 15 minutes, 20 minutes in any direction, but you hit a different county. Not allowed to cross that line. $2,000 fine. $2,000 fine.
Were there, how did they monitor that? Were there people there or?
There was cops everywhere driving around. There's people out in canoes, and even on the Nova Scotia news, they'd say, oh, 2 fishermen in a boat were caught, they said, and given fines during the lockdown.
Whoa, and how much did you say the fines were?
It was $2,000 if I was caught in a different territory. And I didn't obey the rules anyway. I drove to I had to do things, man. I just threw a bale of hay. I threw a bale of hay in the back of my truck, and I said, if I get pulled over by the police, I'm going to tell them I'm on agricultural business, because there was stipulation. People had to go to work. I mean, you had to be on official business.
Okay.
You had to prove it. Or $2,000 fine. So that's one tyrannical move that happened here, of many. And the masks, they were here forever. Mask mandates just went on and on. And I told you, the longest vaccine mandate on planet Earth happened in Canada, British Columbia. Nova Scotia was probably the second world record because it lasted
Okay.
until February 2024.
Whoa.
Yes, my wife went to work just a few months ago, back to work. Just a few months ago. We're still in COVID world in Nova Scotia. You see now what we had to deal with?
Holy
And the same
smokes.
government is still in power. The very same premier. You have senators down through your state. Here we
Hmm.
call them premiers. Same guy is still in power. We live in North Korea here.
Oh, yeah, I knew it was tough in certain areas, but yeah, it's so great to talk to you, getting specifics. So, is anyone else around you awakened?
My neighbors went along with it, and I would talk to them, and I was very frustrated, speaking out a lot, and we sounded like
Yeah.
crazy people to them.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, "Are you really getting that vaccine? Like, do you realize we don't have any money? Like, we're not like, what are we gonna do? She's not allowed to work. Like, do you understand? Well, do you understand what's happening?" And my neighbors, well, they look at their shoes and kick stones around and weird. The psyop was so strong, and it still is. People don't see. They don't see it. How is this wrong? Well, there's a disease. You do the vaccine because it's your moral duty to your society. And they believe that so deeply to this very day, because if they stop believing that, they might have a very hard time thinking, oh shit, what is in my body? Huh? And what did I go along with, for God's
Yeah.
sakes? So now we're into this banality of evil thing. It's becoming a culture. And in many countries around the world that lived under the communist thing, like in Poland and stuff, like after 20 years of living under these types of psychological torment, people begin to look like zombies. I had a guy on my podcast who was in Czechoslovakia when the communist revolution fell apart in 1991. And he said he was looking at all the people, and they had lived under the Soviet dictatorship for 20 years. And he said they were kind of gray. Their skin was like ash colored, and they were all hunched, spiritually dead people. And this Western world, we need to change something. This is the Great Awakening. We need it. We need it. So that's kind of the crux of our conversation, isn't it?
Well, and it is like the zombieism that's created through all the technology as well, and cell phones. Because I've commented on the show multiple times. There's a park that's near me, and it's so incredible. Every time I go, probably 80% of the people are walking in this cute. It's a cute park. It's not, there's so many parks that are much awesomer than this, but it's a nice little park, and they're walking with their phones, looking down while they're walking in nature. And one point I saw looked like two parents and a child that was probably 9 or 10 years old. And he was back there, with the little phone as well. So it's just, and then there are chemtrails all in the sky too. So I love seeing some of the memes now where they are cartoon animated drawn, and people are looking at their phones, and there are all these chemtrails happening, and no one's
Yeah.
noticing. Yet I will put in there that I also feel that there are also good chemtrails in the sky that are combating some of these things, or the opposite of those. So that is really nice. Hey, what do you think? Let's go to the election,
Yeah.
knowing that who knows what the world is going to be like in 2 weeks. If hopefully this will be posted. I don't know. I heard here martial law is going to happen.
Mhm.
What do you feel?
I have a prediction.
Let's hear it, man. Let's see.
I'm sorry to make this prediction. I'm really sorry, but I have to make it just based on my own analysis. She's gonna steal it. My analysis is this: as a Canadian, just casually watching, paying it. I mean, I watched the Joe Rogan stuff, all the big interviews. I watched them
Yeah.
all. And I'm trying to get an idea. I read people more so. I don't watch the news, all that bullshit. I'm watching Trump real close. I watched Kamala real close. I'm a really quick study of people, I can tell you. She's no good. She's a crook. She's another Justin Trudeau. Like, she just talks in platitudes that make no sense, and she attacks other people and calls it a policy. We have it here too. It's called communism. Okay. And Trump actually is he's playing the real man. Whether it's a play or not, I don't know. I can't speak for him, but I hope he wins. I do. I'll say that. I hope he wins, for good or ill. But I hope she doesn't win. But I'm so afraid that she's going to steal it no matter what. And I see that Trump has a massive lead, right? Currently, he's killing it. And I can tell the vibrant energy. And he's got 10,000 people, 20,000 people in the room, and they're all cheering. And I watched her last night live. a bunch of high school teachers with cell phones looking at her through the cell phone. If they all look like intelligentsia, her little communist like league, 20 people in the room or a few hundred people in the room with a really shitty backdrop. It looks like it was painted by kids. And she's just saying, huh, huh, huh. And she looked drunk. I think
Oh,
she was drunk. This was last night live. And I flipped over to Trump live. They're cheering and screaming and hooting and hollering. It's like, how can he lose this election? One way, it gets stolen. And I'm really scared it's going to get stolen. I feel it, but I hope I'm wrong. It's just a prediction. It's just a prediction.
I'll add to that, David. I feel because I know there's a lot of a lot of not so great stuff happening. You know, it's all a farce. The Dominion machines are a farce. The mail-in votes, it's all a farce. Yet I do believe if he doesn't make it, that people are not going to be quiet this time. So I'm very excited to see what that's going to be like. I've also heard that, if he quote unquote wins, that Antifa is going to be paid to create riots. I'm just, but it's weird to even talk about it. I'm so excited because I think this is another thing to really wake people up.
This is a big one. And I'm not a
It is a
really
big one.
political guy, I'm a little bit of an anarchist deep down. Actually, I'm a lot of an anarchist. I'm very not political. I'm more spiritual, I'm a very spiritual guy. And I look at the world through that way. I mean, I can't save the world. I can do very little, help work on myself, and then I can be
That's
better with the
huge.
family and my
Mhm.
community. This is how I think, in concentric rings, from the individual outward, rather than outward and then down,
Yes.
right? So, yeah, people get after me. Well, if you don't vote, you can't complain. And
Oh
I'm
gosh.
like, well, also I'll be dead someday, and it's not my problem. Sorry. Whatever's going on in this world, I didn't create it and I didn't cause it. But I'll do my best to carry on and help you, my friend.
Well, I
This is
think
my attitude.
your voice and being active on that way is
Mhm.
just standing for something is huge. And then I'll add in there too, because I know we talked about this a little bit on your show. I also, if we get galactical about this, there's so much more going on with this. I think Trump is part of the galactical, making really making this world, changing it, and bringing to light so many things
Mhm.
beyond just what
He
we
is,
see.
though. Yeah, he's saying good things. He's saying things that should be said,
Yeah.
I think.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, can we turn to you? I really want to know about your past as a chef and then how you talked about on one show that I watched how challenging that was. And then moving into this master gardener, which I think you've been that now on paper, as you termed it before, for like at least 5 years. Is that correct?
Yeah. I took through the COVID lockdowns, I started taking courses in gardening online.
Oh my God. Okay. So I have many questions to ask about that. So tell me about being a chef first. How did you get into that?
Well, long story short, I guess. I mean, 15 or so years I engaged in that, and I thought it would be a great career choice, because everyone watches the TV shows and it's so
Yeah.
great, but it's a hard job and a hard industry, and the food quality is not good that's coming
Oh,
around these days,
no.
A
Yeah.
big truck will show up and all GMO vegetables and all the factory farmed meat and all this stuff. And so I just sort of was thinking, it's nice to make good food for people, but it's low quality, it's unhealthy. And I see actually very unhealthy things going on in kitchens. The restaurant industry is really suffering, people. Watch out for your health. I'm sorry. But anyway, yeah, lost interest, very physically demanding, very psychologically demanding. And I think the only reason I even survived in these trenches is because I'm a Buddhist and I used to meditate at home
Wow.
at night and stuff, right? But people, a lot of aggression in the kitchen, aggression all the time.
Well, and it's so
That,
fast paced. I mean, it is
yes,
so fast paced,
no,
crazy.
no, it can get crazy. Some restaurants I've worked in a little more chill,
Okay.
good staff, good team, but sometimes you get somewhere and it's a bad team, a bunch of millennials running around like blasting Eminem. Can you turn off the Eminem and chop this freaking thing up here? Anyway, yeah, so I don't like getting angry, and when I get angry, I feel like I'm sick for a day or two or something.
Ah,
Like really angry, and I don't get angry often, but that occupation was bringing up the worst in me. So I had to get out of it. But COVID actually sealed the deal. It shut the door immediately. It destroyed the restaurant industry. And I wasn't
Yeah.
going to work wearing a mask all day. Forget it. So that's it. I packed it up. I said, I'm done with chefing. I was done anyway.
Okay. So were you still doing that right before COVID?
Right up till COVID, pretty much in a
Wow.
hospital.
Oh my
I
gosh,
was in a
no
hospital kitchen
way.
when all this started. And so it was just like 1-2 strike. No more cooking, no more hospitals. I'm out. And also my wife was out. Well, she worked through the COVID pandemic up until the vaccine mandate because she was a healthcare hero
Okay. And I'm
until
sure they
that day.
wanted you to get the vax too.
Oh yeah, I wear a mask 12 hours a day in the
Okay.
kitchen.
Oh, while you're cooking. Okay. So you left that. So
Yes.
that was your okay, you'd already talked about or thought about homesteading. That was just the
Yeah.
nail in the coffin. But
Yeah.
that sounds really negative. The flower in the bouquet.
Yeah. It was just the straw that broke the camel's back. I didn't like being a chef. I hated it for many years. It was
Yeah.
not great money and all this stuff. But so COVID hits, it's like, well, that's just over now. Okay, thank you, universe, for that little gift. But now what do I do? What do we do?
Oh, can I bring this up, David? Hospital food, like here in the States, is horrible.
Oh
Is
my
that what
God.
you were
Yeah,
a part of?
yes. I could
Oh,
tell you horror stories about what they feed sick people and probably
yes.
making them sicker. Oh
Yeah,
my
yes.
God. You want to hear one quick
Yeah,
one
give
or?
me one.
Oh,
Yeah, let's
Jesus
do it.
Christ. This hospital in Nova Scotia that I was working at, and it's a medium-sized hospital, not big, not small. Lots of food coming through there. Say
Okay.
1,000 meals for lunch, 1,000 meals for breakfast, whatever. 3 times a day, 1,000 meals flying by. So you're at it all day long, 12 hours straight. The truck shows up and they bring it in boxes. You open the boxes, you got frozen chopped vegetables into tiny squares, like a 6-sided dice, like diced. So you got your frozen bags of potatoes, 50 of those, whatever, frozen bags of carrots, and everything's chopped perfectly from machines into little squares. So you just put like 2 cups of little squares into the pot of this, 2 cups. So you make your soups just by weighing everything. And the way things are today with safety and you have to follow all these guidelines, especially in the hospital. It's absolutely crazy. For all the safety guidelines you have to follow to feed poison to human beings who are sick.
Oh,
Do you understand why restaurant industry
crazy.
was literally making me crazy?
Yeah, I get
It's
it.
like I'm doing something that's stupid.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's just one quick one. And just terrible. Like the chicken soup would be a yellow powder, salty yellow powder. That's the chicken stock. And they told me in that kitchen 20 years ago, we were boiling bones, cooking like 15 turkeys every day and boiling up all the bones and making real stock, real food to make people healthy. They got a new management. The health system started to change. The health system, oh my God, this is the new tyrannical system coming at us. Anyway, little antidote about cooking in a hospital. Oh my God.
Gosh, and you were part of it. Man, because it's a system. You're in there and all these pharmaceuticals are given to you. And then the food that's given to you makes you equally not
Mhm.
feel good. It's
Mhm.
just a cycle. It's just nuts.
Isn't that something, eh?
Yes. All right. So you started studying, you became a master gardener. And one show that I saw you on, I love this. You were talking. So I do want to ask you, getting, it might be jumping ahead a little bit.
It's okay.
3 to 5 plants that people have no idea that they're edible and in your own yard. Cause you talked about dandelions and your one guy was like, no way, those are so good for you. So yeah, can you give us some points on things?
Sure. I think that you're referring to an interesting element of the conversation we were having about homesteading, where I was saying, I'm concerned that if things get rough, people are going to come steal my crops.
Yes,
And
I want
people
to
can
talk about that.
identify certain crops,
Yeah.
carrots. Oh, look, he's got carrots, whatever, beans, potatoes, peas. People know what this looks like. So I said, I'm going to be strategic and plant wild edible food, go get the seeds, and also plant really unique things, like choose things from the catalogs, like different types of spinach, like very cold, hardy crops, and also
Mhm.
because it's survival. I think survival when I build my garden now, rather than for fun. And it's been interesting. And I plant crops that people will not identify. This is the thing you're alluding to. Kind of
Yes.
around the borders and here and there, over there, just weird stuff. I usually don't eat it, but it's there and it
Yes.
continues to grow. And they're perennials. This is the key. If you're a homestead, if you want food, here's a tip: grow perennials. They come back every year all by themselves. Plant it once, forget it. And they tend to get bigger and bigger and bigger each year.
Okay,
Oh,
give me
an herb for it.
two to three examples.
Well, I find spinach, anything in the spinach family or the
Neat.
Chenopodium family. There's also a lot of wild edible food that is in the spinach family. Okay. And there's hundreds or thousands of types of spinachy type foods. They survive in very cold weather. I like this as a good element.
Hmm.
So, is that a good tip? Plant lots of herbs because they're also medicine, and most of those are perennials. All your Italian herbs, herbs of the Provence, those are usually all of the mix in there. Usually come back every year. I mean, it's tricky, isn't it? It's tricky to give tips on this because you have to work with your soil, you have to work with your location, you have
And I
to
remember you
look
saying
in
that
your climate.
soil is
Climate. Here's the tip: soil.
huge.
This is the only tip you need. Understand
Let's hear it.
soils. Understand soil composition, soil structure, how to grow things in soil. You can't just go in the backyard, dig a hole, and throw in a plant. It's not going to work. Build a little raised bed even and throw the inputs in. I'm talking manure, obviously, that's aged for a year, seaweed, organic matter of all types, compost, food scraps, anything. Get it in there because you have to continuously feed the microbes, continuously feed those microbes that are alive in there in the trillions. This is organic gardening. Agricultural gardening, the soil is dead. This isn't happening. They're spraying chemicals and chemicals and chemicals in the soil. Everything's dead. And in the crops, they're giving the nutrients so the crop will grow in dead soil. Anyway, there's a big difference between healthy food and unhealthy food. Oh, yes.
Where do you get your seaweed?
From the ocean. Nova Scotia, Canada's ocean playground. 10
Oh my
minutes, I'm at the,
gosh.
yeah, I can drive 10 minutes in any direction and be at the ocean pretty much.
And you just go into the ocean and grab it? Like,
I
yeah,
drive
okay.
right up onto the beach with my truck
No.
and I get a pitchfork and I literally fork it into the back of the truck.
Wow.
And you know what, listener? It's the best thing for the garden. It has 70 nutrients and all kinds of stuff in it. It's the best thing you can possibly put in the garden. If you don't live by the ocean, get it dried, crumble it up. And that's what I do. Also, I might hang it on a clothesline or something, or put it in the shed somewhere where it will dry. Then I
Yeah.
can crunch it up with gloves on and kind of mix it in the soil, massage it into the soil, and it breaks down really quickly. And it's so nutritious. It's got millions, or sorry, 70, 70 minerals and vitamins and things. You know, it's amazing, that stuff. That's why the Japanese live for 100 years, for God's sakes. They eat that and everything.
Yeah. Okay. So if you can't drive and get it, can you just
Yeah.
order it?
You could probably find seaweed. If it's dried, you could ship it. Hey, you want
Okay.
some? Call me up, listener. I'll get you some seaweed. I got all the seaweed I can handle over here.
Okay. Good to know. We're putting
I
it out
actually thought of
there.
a business. I thought of a business doing that, I really did. Seaweed juice, because you soak seaweed in water in a bucket,
Yeah.
and that liquid you water the plants with. Seaweed
Liquid
tea, they call it.
gold.
Liquid gold, yeah. And that's another good tip if you want to give nutrients to your plant, like fertilizer.
Yeah.
You can use human urine, yes, mixed with water.
Oh my God. Whoa. Okay. Keep going. This is great.
Yeah, no, anyway, we won't talk about the urine, but you can use it. We'll just say that, and it's
Well,
actually
I think
really,
that's
really good.
because that's available to everybody. I think that's
Exactly.
great. So,
This is a survival tip too.
okay. So with human urine, were you saying adding water to it?
You can water it down. I mean, there's different schools of thought out there. Some people will urinate directly into the garden bed or whatever.
Okay.
I mean, I'm like, okay, that's probably a little too far. Uh, you could pee somewhere, and it's easier for a man anyway to pee into a bucket or something. But you should let it sit for a few days too to kind of stew. I mean, if you're in a survival situation and you're in a massive lockdown and martial law comes to your country and you can't get out and you need some fertilizer, this might help you. So yeah, let it ferment a few days and yeah, water it down. And I use it for seedlings. This is what I use it for.
Oh, wow.
When I'm growing my seedlings inside, it gives them a little boost, a little nutrient boost. I tried it one year and I was like, look how fast I grew this year compared to last year. So
No
gardening, it takes
way.
time, people. You got to really devote your life because every year you're going to see different things. And oh, it's been very dry this year. It's been very wet this year. Different crops are going to grow. So it's a whole symbiotic system that now we've developed here. And it's so wonderful. It's so wonderful.
Oh, and probably doing it as long as you have now.
Yes. 5 years
Really?
is enough. You really begin to see things. You're like,
Oh
okay,
man.
now I know about this bug and what to do. And oh,
Whoa. Okay. This, what was the documentary? Small gardens. But these people, oh my gosh, I'm quoting it so wrong. I think they were in California, bought a farm or something, and just the cycles, and also
mhm,
understanding if bugs came in, well, this type of animal
mhm,
eats those type of bugs. So making it all like not doing pesticides, making it
exactly.
so symbiotic was the word that you use. What
Yes.
what have you discovered through that?
Well, about pests, that was the first year our soil wasn't that great because it takes a
Okay.
few years for the soil to really begin to
Oh.
develop and become black in color and just so beautiful. So the first year, our knowledge wasn't great. I mean, I had books, I had credentials as a master gardener on paper, as I said.
Mhm.
So we had bugs and aphids, and we had problems, but I studied more and more and learned more about the soil structure, as I said, because all the little things living in there will work together and find the balance. And then one year, the ants were climbing up the crops, taking the aphids and taking them back to their house and eating them and not coming into my house. So the symbiotic relationship was beginning and I was seeing it. And then the third year, the fourth year, it's like, look at this type of pollinator. I've never seen this type of fly. Now there's all these, it's not just bees, man. We got dozens of different tiny little things flying around. And it's like mind blown. You know what I mean?
So
To
as
be
a as
immersed
a
in nature.
well, as a Buddhist, what does that mean to you?
Well, one of the great Buddhist teachings is about the interconnectedness of all things.
Yes.
So it's just a perfect example. You sit there and you watch a bee, just watch it do its thing. And you're like, that's the mystery of the freaking universe right happening here. All the truth you need is right there. That things work together. If the government would F off and leave us alone, people would be just fine. And this is a little bit of an anarchist attitude that I have. Leave us alone, we'll be just fine. Find me an animal in nature that doesn't manage itself just fine.
So you seeing in front of your own eyes things, things, plants, animals working together. What has been your neatest epiphany through this and doing this? Like, is it like I'm seeing how much freedom I have, how much
Mhm.
autonomy I can that I can create these things. What's been the biggest thing for you in doing that?
I feel like this is the purpose of my life.
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
purpose of,
shucks.
if there's something really archaic or primordial about growing food, agriculture, it's
Yeah.
so caveman. Sometimes you get this energy like, this is just what I'm supposed to do. Like, grow food, eat it, and live. And then die? I mean, what's the purpose of life? What is the purpose of life? No one knows. But this feels yes. There's a big yes moment. So many times per day. I'm like, this is it. This is
Oh.
good. This is good. I'm happy here.
Oh, that's so great. And do you need food outside of what you grow?
Yeah, like my wife is working. She's back, like I said, and we did
Yeah.
figure something out. She worked in a different province. I mean, it's like vaccine mandate in one province and not in this province. It's like, for fuck's sake, come on.
Wow.
Anyway, so very irritating, very irritating. That's why I started the podcast. I was getting irritated. But what was that question?
Um, oh shoot, what was the question?
Something about the garden, right? Oh, do I get
Yes.
source food? Yeah, yeah. We
Yes.
we source food. There's an egg farmer I know. I get eggs. I got 9 dozen from him the other day. I just drive up. So I do have an agorist attitude, which is very much buy local as a political thing. Like I'm not a political guy, like I said, but I think about what can I do that's going to help this world. Buy local, buy from the farmers, the 100 mile diet. I try to do the 100 mile diet. Everything I consume comes from 100 miles. So it's in line with my evolution as a maritimer in Canada. This type of food, whatever grows here, is probably what I should eat. Not bananas from Mexico, really, but I do eat those. Anyway, rambling on here. I could talk about gardening all day, Eden.
Well, I love that. And I really appreciate you bringing that here because I haven't had, well, I've had one guest, but we didn't really go into it. Yeah, I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
I
It's a good
love it.
spiritual topic. It's such a good spiritual topic.
Well, again, just the synergy and the, knowing that also I'm looking outside here and the leaves are just coming down,
Mm.
that we are all connected with nature. And when we walk outside, the plants can sense that we're there. I mean, that we're really not separate from anything. It's just another mind blowing.
I have a theory too that, like let's take leeks, for example. Do you like
Yeah.
leeks? I got a few
Yeah.
hundred out there, and every day I'll just pull one out, chop the roots off, bring it into the kitchen and fry it up. And I think sometimes that this leek, I planted this seed with my own fingers
Hmm.
so long ago, 8 months ago. And now here it is finished. It takes a long time to grow a leek. And it's like, this thing is freaking magical. Like, how healthy is this for me? And if I went to the store and bought something from Argentina, a leek from Argentina, or however far away you could possibly get, what was it sprayed with? How far did it travel? How much carbon did it use? They're trying to save the world with all of this green agenda. Why don't they fix the agricultural system? It's destroying the freaking environment, this agricultural system, this poison. So now I got this beautiful leek, and it's like, wow, what a different leek this is from anything I'm ever going to get out there in that industry.
Yeah.
This thing is probably so full of nutrients and minerals that might even be genetically designed specifically for me because I handled the freaking seed. Mind blown. Think about that.
That is so neat. And I do before I want to go into the just be practice for just a moment. Yet part of being mindful and being so grateful of everything. It's so neat. For example, when you cut open a lemon and just look at how beautiful it is, and oranges, and it's when you really, even a leek, like as you're talking about it, imagining, okay, how to even describe it, how it's interwoven.
Yeah, it's just it's like
Yeah.
an onion. It's got all the wraps. Yeah, different wraps around,
Yes. Like
and then
how
there's
can that
nothing in the
even be?
middle.
It's crazy. How can that be created? And blueberries. Have you ever, and strawberries? I know I'm doing a lot of fruit, but just to look at the seeds and the berries, and it's just friggin' amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, and I saw someone, a friend of mine just posted the sacred geometry of a dandelion and showed it cut down. I mean, it is just when you start really diving into things, it's just
Yeah,
incredible.
it's true.
David,
Yeah. Yes.
can we take this time? What are you going to bring to us today to help us evolve? What you going to do? Just be
Well, you
practice.
you asked me, and you ask your guests often to do a little short,
Yes.
some sort of contemplation or
Yes.
meditation or something.
Yes.
I thought about it, and I think I have something that we could try.
Okay. Let's
And
go.
I'm no teacher of spiritual things. I'm a student. Okay, just to be clear. But this is a good one. So, if anyone's ever practiced meditation, the first thing to do is take your seat. So we're just going to relax. And you may feel all of a sudden that you actually have weight and you're sitting there really, and you're grounded now. So feel the weight of your body and just relax for a minute. Just let your head clear. Just feel your body there. And just breathe normal. This would be meditation practice. And you can close your eyes or leave them open. I'll leave mine open so I can think about this, but I would close them. And it'd be good to visualize somebody who you love just for a moment and feel that you love them. And if nobody comes to mind, maybe a pet or an old friend or a guru, maybe, or someone from history you appreciate, or yourself, maybe. Just feel that you love this person for a moment. And then picture someone you have trouble with in your life and transfer this feeling to them. Someone you're having some difficulty with, maybe. And this could be yourself, actually. So let's have some love for a moment here. And you could spread the feeling even further if you really want to your community, to your family. Feeling love with no boundaries whatsoever. and maybe your country, maybe the whole world, and fish in the sea, and birds in the air, and animals in the forest, people fighting in wars, And then back to yourself, maybe to end. You could try this daily. You could take an hour with this practice if you want to. But I think it's a good one. Probably saying too much for it to really sink in and be profound for people, but they could dabble and try this. But the relaxing is important. The meditation. It'd be good to sit for a few minutes first. Be very calm and clear, then begin the practice of this. Just loving somebody who you really, really love, just for a moment, and spreading it outward. And if you can, to your enemies. That's a hard one. I'm not going to ask that of you. But that would be the practice for today of raising a loving kindness attitude with no boundaries.
I had my eyes closed. For those listening, I'm going to open them now. I comment on my experience, and I'm going to do that. For those who are watching, when you talked about love, I couldn't get the smile off my face. And it was just so powerful. So today specifically, as we talked about Kamala, extending her love and just, and it was funny, even before you said, go into your neighborhood, I had started expanding it and moving it into the world. So it was just beautiful, just beautiful. I feel so good.
Simple,
David,
right?
Thank you. And thank you so much for being here with me today. I want to continue to keep in touch. Whenever you feel it, feel free to reach out to me. And everybody out there, that this Great Awakening, again, I think that David's practice was pivotal. The Great Awakening is about discovering our hearts and discovering love, and that being the main thing, and that we are that. And we've also been taught that as human beings, we're not kind and we're evil and we're sinners. Yet when you get to the heart of it, we are the heart. We are the heart. So thank you for bringing that into us today. And hopefully I'll be doing this next week. So thank you again, you in Nova Scotia. Love learning more about that. All right. Say goodbye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you, Eden, and talk soon.
Yes. Y'all, find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, True Social, as well as Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, plus a plethora of other audio directories like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So subscribe, do it all. See ya.